What's up, everyone? What's up, Studios here with another video. And today I'm gonna be watching Irresponsible Content Creators in DBD by the one and only Mr. Headache, or the Mr. Headache, which I have watched a lot actually. I watch a lot of his content, and he's probably one of my favorite DBD content creators. And this is funny that I'm doing a reaction video on his own video, which is strange, but whatever. I'm gonna start watching it. Give me one sec. Just gonna position something here. Okay, we can start now.
Hi guys, Brant here, and welcome to a commentary video again. Today we're going to be having a little bit more of what I would consider like a rant video or like a stream of thought video. I'm not going to have any sort of like bullet points or anything for this one like I sometimes do for my commentary videos. I'm going to be just talking from the chest here and talking about one of the more stressful and frustrating parts of the DBD content creation circle and things that I wish we were a little bit more tidy about and how that affects us as a whole community. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So I think there's the general thing that I want to talk about in terms of the Dead by Daylight community content creation circle is that I feel like a lot of content creators in general are fairly irresponsible when it comes to their feelings and takes and presence with the game. And I feel like a lot of it comes to hurt us all around and kind of really perpetuates, that's the word I was looking for, it really perpetuates this cycle of entitlement and people hating the game. I'm sure you've watched plenty of content creators that have probably just the most off-the-wall worst takes that you could ever possibly imagine. I'm sure on the killer side of things, there's a certain two or three gamers that probably come to your mind that stream on Twitch that, you know, survivors can do no right, killers can do no wrong. Anytime a killer loses, especially them, it's always because of some BS item, BS map design, BS this, BS that, and essentially...
That's something I fucking hate hearing. That's actually something I fucking hate hearing. Like, oh, this game sucks, the survivors are too OP, it's survivor-sided, the game's killer-sided. No, the reason why you fucking lost specifically because you suck ass at this game. Like, it always has to be something else. It's not because of your mistake or why you lost and how you can improve to make sure that mistake doesn't happen again. But no, it has to be. It's the game's fault. It's always the game's fault. Oh, survivor sided. The killers are too weak. It's such a dumb mindset. It's so retarded.
Every time they lose, it's just the world was against them, RNG was against them, the game was against them, the map was against them, the players...
I'm sorry, what? People actually say that the world is against them over DBD? What?
...were against them. It was 4-man Swift. That's what did it. It was 4-man Swift on comms. That's why I lost, regardless if they check or not.
Okay, what the fuck is wrong with 4-man Swift? Dude, there are people who fucking... Let me tell you this. During the old days, people would invite their friends to their house and shit and play games together and stuff. But now that's not really the case anymore because now we have the internet and online multiplayer and all that now. So that's not really the case anymore. But it's just like how you normally would back then. You invite a friend to your house and you would play games like, oh my god. Apparently, 4-man Swift is the reason why people lose in DBD. I used to have all these fucking mindsets back then when I started playing DBD again in 2020, I believe. But then, like, some time went on, I completely moved on from all of that, and I completely, like, stopped. Because it's not healthy. I still play DBD, but I don't take the game seriously anymore, because it's not healthy. Continue.
If they can't check that, it's the skill-based matchmaking. The skill-based matchmaking did it. It was the MMR that did it. And
okay, I get that people don't like skill-based matchmaking, but what the fuck are you gonna do about it? Skill-based matchmaking is on Call of Duty. Skill-based matchmaking is on, like, what, Overwatch, I'm guessing? I don't know. But yeah, we all didn't like skill-based matchmaking at first. But we're gonna have to deal with it now. It's gonna be in, like, most multiplayer games now. So, like, what can you really do about it? Nothing. Devs aren't, like, you might as well just deal with it.
MMR should be removed from the game, even though they can't actually go in and check their MMR. And that's just one side of the game too. Like, if anything, we've had more of a presence of survivor streamers, and survivor streamers also do this too. You've been in their streams. Every killer is boring. There are no killers in the game. They actually do like.
Dude, you have no fucking clue how many salt videos I watched where I hear the same fucking thing from every every streamer that I watch videos about. Oh, the game's not fair, the killer's try hard, the killer's playing sweaty, all this nonsense. Oh my god. This shit's getting stupid.
The only killers they actually enjoy facing are the ones that they can push around and bully, which usually constitutes like the bottom 3, bottom 5 characters in the game, and sometimes not even that.
That's the problem. When people that's the problem. When people only enjoy facing certain killers, because, you also gotta know, there are players who are willing to DC to a certain killer. Like, for example, if I was playing Skull Merchant, that guy would DC. They don't like Skull Merchant. They want to face someone that they could, bully or have fun against. It's just... That's the problem. That's one of the issues with DBD is, when people don't go against when people go against a killer they most likely don't like at all, they're most likely gonna give up and kill themselves on hook and stuff. And personally, the killers I like to face the most are Hillbilly, Wesker, Blight, I do like facing Singularity as well, but I don't know. I don't know. There's a decent amount of killers that I like. But there's also a thing where if I just face a killer that I'm not, crazy about, who cares, Who gives a fuck? Just play the game and see how long you last. Well, how long you'll last in the match. That's what I meant by that. Just play the match, see how long you would last in the match.
The people that, once again, it's kind of a reverse situation that, survivors can only do good and killers can do no right, even if a killer is, very clearly spreading their hooks across all 12 hooks, across all 4 survivors. They're still tunneling to some extent because they're only focusing 2 people at a time, something like that. They always find something that the killer is doing wrong. And I feel like both of these takes and both of these feelings kind of lead to just this perpetual cycle of just entitlement and frustration.
Yes.
And
yes, I agree.
Kind of this feeling that the game is always in a terrible place because they're essentially exaggerating the problems that the game has.
Okay. I'm going to stop right there. The game has never been in a terrible place. Old DBD, there was some point in old DBD where, there are times in old DBD where things were pretty fucked up. However, DBD currently right now is in its most healthy state that has ever been. And people don't get that. I don't fucking understand this shit.
Make the blow to their egos not as bad. Because if they actually had to self-reflect and see, maybe I'm not playing the game as possibly good as I should be, or maybe I perhaps made some mistakes there, then that looks bad in front of their chats or in front of their YouTubes, and we can't have that because that leads to a loss of views or subscribers or whatever it happens to be. So we're just going to make it about...
That's why I don't fucking care. That's why I don't fucking, worry much about losing viewers and such. If people just fucking leave, if I'm a Twitch streamer and people just fucking stop watching me because they don't and I'm not confident enough. Because let's be fair, there are some games I'm pretty good at, and there are some games that I am not really good at all. So, if I admit I could have done better, and people would start being like, oh, this guy is feeling bad because he did bad, I want to watch something like that. It's so fucking stupid. I get it. People want to watch people who will energize up and shit, but, there are known people out there who, when it comes to gaming, if they know why they lost, and they admit that they lost, and they can do better, and people just, I don't know, it's so fucking complicated. Even, someone like me, I can't even fucking explain this shit myself. This is complicated shit I'm hearing.
the game, and unfortunately, a lot of people fall for this hook, line, and sinker, and the cycle continues because those people go into their games, regardless of the fact that they themselves are content creators, not with the same attitude that I can do no wrong, but the game can do no right. And I think particularly what I wanted to talk about with this and what I wanted to focus on with this is how that makes life.
I still don't get it though. Like, oh, I can do no wrong, but the game can do no right. Dude, I never seen anyone say shit like that when it comes to different games. Like, don't get me wrong, DBD has a toxic community, yeah. So does many other games. But like DBD is like the only game where I hear people go, "Oh, I'm always right. The game's always wrong." You never hear people say shit like that in other games. I never heard someone say like shit like that in COD. I never heard someone say that like shit like that in Overwatch. I never heard anyone say shit like that in any other games but DBD. And if there are people who say similar shit like that in other games, then yeah, I guess I didn't know that. That's the only fucking game where I know people say like, "Oh, it's not my fault. It's the game's fault." We're tough.
Life harder for everyone else who tries to see the game from like a median perspective, something that is the average, something that is as close to truth as possible. People go, "Oh, well, there's problems with Killer, but there's some also really strong things about Killer. There's some strong things about Survivor. There's some really bad stuff about Survivor. There's some maps that are really strong and some maps that are actually fine." People that try to see the game as it is, these kind of
that's the thing that was okay. Maps. That's the thing with most multiplayer games. There are some maps that are, good, and there's some maps that are not that perfect, Like, there's a roster of maps, characters, and all that stuff, and there are things that are good, and there are things that are bad. Like, there's a thing called a roster. Jesus.
Personality that tried
not
to...
everything has to be perfect.
Essentially excuse away all of their mistakes and all of their problems, all their frustrations as something that's objective, make the game and the community at large conversely harder just by having these really, really extreme and awful opinions. Because even though these things are obviously not true and they're exaggerating them for the sake to cover their own ass, essentially, people take them as gospel. People take them as truth. And like I said, cult of personality, a lot of these people that have these thoughts and feelings are very, very charismatic and very, very loud. And a lot of people listen to those people even if what they're saying is not necessarily true. But this had an adverse effect that the players and content creators that are out there that are trying more to see the game as it is and try to give the game a fair cut, give the community a fair cut, and try to see things as truthful and down the middle as possible, those people end up having a really, really bad time because they're constantly being bombarded by these people that, have been taught by their bigger content creators that it's okay to just blame the game every single time you lose. It's always the game's fault. It's always the Foreman Swift's fault. It's always something's fault. It's never my fault. And that attitude carries over to chastise people who probably actually have a better view of what the game actually is than anybody else does, but they're just going to be put down because they're not playing to whatever bias side that you're trying to talk about. And even furthermore, I think a thing that's not really talked about a lot of this, and not even just the terms of just being like, harassed or talked down to or condescended to or having very, very heated arguments, is just the anxiety of like trying to find out what the truth is and to find out, is this thing actually overpowered or is this thing not overpowered? The anxiety of trying to figure that out and trying to create that median opinion and try to find out what the truth is, it's always more anxiety-ridden because you have essentially two walls of very, very biased and brainwashed forces that have been irresponsibly made that way by very aggressively immature content creators, making it very, very hard for you to come up with, like, what would consider to be quote-unquote the right opinion because you're constantly being influenced or looked down upon by both sides. And there's a lot of situations in Dead by Daylight where you truly can't make everybody happy. But even that quest to find what potentially is the closest to the truth about is something overpowered, is something not, is something problematic, or is something not. Even if you do a lot of tests, I'm sure you've seen Hens, Ots, so many different content creators do a lot of tests, like hard testing to try and figure out, is this thing broken, is it not? And if you go down into their Twitter comments or whatever happens to be the post that they made, there's tons of people lambasting them, tons of people giving them a lot of shit for like seemingly no reason when they're literally literally going into the game and doing tests and trying to provide hard data as to should this thing be fixed? Should this thing remain the same way it is? And people still blast them. So
really?
people still give them a hard time. And I think it's that like really, really hostile environment. I think that's the word I really want to capitalize on here. And it's like that really, really hostile environment is just like not a very, very comfortable or happy place to be. Like it feels like, especially just the reason this came into my mind is obviously we have a new chapter coming, which means we have new perks, new character,
which I can't wait.
new map. So a lot of people are wanting like the lowdown on like, is this character strong? Is this character weak? Is this part of this kit problematic? Is it not? Are the perks problematic or are they not problematic?
No,
there's a lot of questions flying around right now. People want those answers
fine.
as soon as possible, and it feels really threatening. I think that's the best word for it. It feels really, really threatening because the people that if I say that the unknown is fairly good, if you put a lot of effort into him, which is what I feel. He's a very, very fun character, but he's going to take a lot of effort to be good. A la something kind of like Larry, where it's not going to be just you don't just load up as the character and you get a lot of value. There's just certain camps you're just automatically going to irritate and make angry just by saying that statement. There are a lot of people that pick up the character and either don't have the willingness to learn his deeper aspects, or
that's why nobody plays Singularity.
Believe he's already too OP on the Survivor end of things, and you saying, oh, he's only good instead of OP will piss them off. Like, there's just so many people you make angry just by making that statement, and so frustrated just by making the statement. But really what's happening is it's just kind of like this big echo of, like, the content creator space. Your aggressively biased Survivor mainstreamer already hates the character, already thinks he's not fun to face, already thinks he's like a high AS tier or something like that, and just despises the character, regardless of if that's the truth or not. So there's just going to be legions of fans and community members that are just going to say that and perpetuate that belief, no matter if it's true or not, everywhere. And then you're going to have the killer mains who think that he's really underpowered, he needs like 12 buffs to be good, and, the Survivor, it's just so easy for survivors to bully this character, and those people are going to perpetuate that to their community, and then their community is going to go around and bully anybody who thinks that. So it just makes making thoughts and feelings and opinions about characters where you're trying to derive as much truth as possible really, really nerve-wracking, because it just feels like no matter what you do, there's going to be groups of people that are just absolutely angry. And I think the elephant in the room with this, which is kind of something that I'm more experienced,
and
I'm sure a lot of other content creators experience in the zone where you're not necessarily super biased to one side or the other, is that like it feels like you kind of end up like babysitting people, and you feel like you're having to like talk people down all the time, which gets really, really emotionally draining. If somebody comes in during the PTB for the unknown, and they're like, the unknown's OP, he's like A+ tier, and he's going to be rolling people, and I go, first off, character hasn't even been out, technically. Character's still in PTB, so this version of the character will not hit live. No, even if the changes are small versus big, this is not the version of the character that will be live, so you don't know that for sure. And at the this was the day of PTB, PTB release, so the character hasn't even been out 6 hours, and people were saying he's like A+ tier. There's no way you can know that.
Yeah, the
There's
character's
no way
not even
anybody
out
can know
yet.
that. You can make a best guess about, it seems like that ability's pretty good. But, like, you don't know for sure. So the people who say with their whole chest objectively, it feels like you, like, it there falls on my responsibility to be like, whoa, chillax. Whoa, relax a little. Stop, think. Character hasn't even been 6 hours yet. Character's not even technically out. And won't be for a while. So maybe hold off on such a poignant objective, quote-unquote, objective judgment, like saying he's A+ tier. Or the opposite. People saying he was dog and he was too buggy to function correctly, to be any sort of good. Like, I feel like I'm just constantly having to talk people down from just like really super intense statements that they pretend are objective and are not. And usually when people make those super intense, quote-unquote, objective statements, I can track them back to a content creator or two who was a little too off the cuff with their statements and kind of just didn't understand the responsibility you have when you're a content creator and you have an audience to, be like, okay, well, this is how it feels. This is how it is. I was running into a lot of situations when I first started playing Unknown this week. And I was like, I don't get how this works. This seems really weird, because it is kind of odd that, like, direct shots hinder, but only the bubble does the weak injured thing. It was just weird to figure out at first. And I was like, this feels really clunky and odd. And I was saying the keyword feel. It feels, right? And even then, even then, in that situation, there were a lot of people in my chat who were saying that I was being too harsh on the character and I was being too rough on them. And I just had to reiterate, I'm like, this is only my first or second game with them. These are just first impressions. These are how I feel playing them. And lo and behold, I kept playing them throughout the day, and I started going for really fun bounce shots, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I started like literally laughing while playing the character. I was having such a good time. So like, what I was like feeling at the time, and I emphasized was a feeling, I ended up getting used to. That's why I emphasized that they were just feelings and not facts, not something that's objective.
Yeah.
And so many other content creators in that situation phrase those things as objective feelings and objective problems, and it just gets really frustrating. There's no other way to put it. It just gets really, really frustrating because like I said, it just boils down to that. I feel like, once again, those same people that were like, you're being too harsh and were like, panicking, trying to like almost toxically positive bias me out of that situation are probably, predisposed to content creators doing that, jumping the gun and saying their aggressive in the moment feelings as objective facts. So they probably felt the need to step in, and it created an awkward situation between me and them, because we all feel like, we have to temper the extreme feelings of people who, for the most part, are adults and should know the difference between I feel this way and it is this way. Is this objectively what's happening, or is this subjectively how I'm feeling? And be able to communicate that. And when these people have large audiences that will parrot what they say, they gotta be a little bit more careful about that phrasing and what they do with that, because it goes to harm the community as a whole. It really does, and it puts the people in the middle who are either A, already aware of that, or B, trying to be more careful and aware of that difference between objectivity and subjectivity. It makes their lives way, way harder, because they now have to essentially, carry that responsibility for other people and take the brunt of that from other people, which sucks. It sucks to always be living in that anxiety that you're going to agitate and upset other people, regardless of the fact that you're trying to be as fair as possible. Like, it just sucks, and it's just not a good situation. And it's
that does suck.
Like I keep saying throughout this video, perpetuated by community figures, content creators that are irresponsible with their voice. And it just sucks. And it's not something that's ever going to be better. That's why it's more of a rant. It's not something that's ever going to change. It's just something that I just kind of dislike about the content creation space and the community around it in terms of Dead by Daylight, because people are way too easy to jump the gun and mix up subjective feelings with objective feelings way too much, and don't know how to separate those. But it infects the community, and those people carry those feelings into other places, and it's just a big ick. And I just wish content creators were a little bit more careful with saying something was their subjective feelings instead of just claiming everything was objective and everything was the way it is when it's just how they feel. I don't know, do you guys feel like this is a problem in the community, that you feel like too many content creators mix their subjective feelings with objective feelings, or do you think it's just kind of like a non-issue and I'm just worried about nothing? Let me know down in the comments below. That's it for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching, but I do upload.
Alright, that's enough. But yeah, like, fucking hell. People are so weird when it comes to Dead by Daylight. Even to this day, like, DBD community's been fucking weird for like a long time now. It's never gonna get better, to be honest. Let's be fair. People are still gonna bitch about dumb shit. People are still gonna be toxic, and then there's people that are still gonna be really just, you know what. Well, if you guys enjoyed the reaction, then make sure to leave a like. And if you guys want to see more uploads of me, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'll see you guys next time.